Welcome back to the Warrior Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Smith. I'm a personal trainer, a nutrition coach, former law enforcement officer, and a kinesiology grad student. Today, we're going to talk about macros and micros. Something every serious lifter, athlete, or weekend warrior needs to have. And that's the fuel for your body. You can have the best training plan in the world, but without the right fuel, you will stall out. So we're going to break down what actually powers your body, which again is macronutrients and micronutrients, and get into how your system converts that food into performance. And as I've said before, we will get into this type of stuff in more depth later on. But for right now, let's just dive into kind of a cursory overview. So, when you train, your body doesn't just burn calories. It runs through a complex metabolic system that extracts energy from food at the cellular level. Macronutrients, such as carbs, proteins, and fats, are the primary energy sources. Micronutrients, such as vitamins, minerals, and electrolytes, are the cofactors that make those systems run efficiently. Think of it like a machine or a car, for that matter. Micros are the gas and the oil in that car. And macros are the spark plugs and wiring. If one of those fail, the whole engine loses performance or just doesn't work at all. So we'll start out with talking about carbs. Now, carbs have got a bad reputation, but here's the truth. Your body is designed to run on glucose. When you eat carbohydrates, enzymes like amylase in your saliva and maltase in your small intestine break down those carbs into glucose. That glucose enters your bloodstream, which triggers insulin to help shuttle it to your cells. Once inside your mitochondria, your cells, or the power plants, use that glucose through three major pathways. Your body's energy currency. The next one is the Krebs cycle, which is also known as the citric acid cycle. Pyruvate enters the mitochondria, which generates a high energy carrier such as NADH and FADH2. And like I said, we'll get into those a little bit more in depth and what they mean later on. And the third and final kind of power plant, or how your body fuels itself, is called the electron transport chain. Those carriers release energy to form large amounts of ATP, the power that drives muscle contractions. When you train hard, glycogen, stored glucose in your muscles, provide that instant energy. When glycogen runs low, fatigue sets in, and your body literally runs out of quick access fuel. Now, short-term versus long-term energy systems. First one that we start out with is the ATP-PC system. And this kicks in about 5 to 10 seconds of max effort. It uses stored ATP and phosphocreatine. Then you have your anaerobic glycosis. It kicks in next and it produces fast energy, but it also produces lactic acid, which we will go into later, is not really a great thing. Then you have your aerobic system, which is for longer efforts. It uses oxygen to fully metabolize carbs and fats. Excuse me. Without enough carbs, both power output and recovery take a hit. You're not burning pure fat, you're just underfueled. So, carbs aren't the enemy, but the quality and timing of when you ingest those carbs matter. And that comes down to two different types of carbs. First is your complex carbs, which are oats, brown rice, and sweet potatoes, things like that. These digest slowly, keeping your blood sugar levels stable. And then you have simple carbs, which are things like fruit, honey, um, white rice. These things digest quickly and are great for pre and post workouts. You can use both. However, a fast carb post training helps replenish glycogen faster, which is basically repairing your fuel tank. So, where we look at it is good versus bad. Good there's no real good and bad. They're just quality and timing. Both serve a purpose. Simple helps with fast energy production with a great pre energy for your workout. And then simple also helps post workout, helps you recover. Complex are the carbs that keep you going, basically. So we move on to the next macro, which is protein. Protein doesn't really give you any energy directly, or it doesn't give you much, but it's essential for recovery and repair. When you lift or sprint, you create micro tears in your muscle fibers. Your body sends satellite cells to fuse with those fibers, making them thicker and stronger. That's hypertrophy. But the process only happens if amino acids are available, especially leucine, which triggers the mTOR pathway, which is your body's signal to start building new tissue. The process of breaking down protein into amino acids starts in the stomach with pepsin, then continues in the small intestine with trypsin and chymotrypsin. These amino acids get reassembled into muscle, enzymes, and hormones. For most people, 0.7 to about 1.0 milligrams per body weight is a good target. However, if you're cutting calories, lean towards the higher end to help preserve muscle. So we move on to fats. Fats are the hormonal background. Fat isn't just stored energy, it's the foundation of your hormonal system. Dietary fat breaks down into fatty acids and glycerol. In the mitochondria, these go through beta oxidation, which converts fats into acetyl CoA, which again we'll go into in another video in more depth and explain to you what all this is. That feeds into the Krebs cycle for steady, long duration energy. That's why fat is good for endurance, but not explosive effort. Fats also help your body absorb fat soluble vitamins such as A, D, E, and K. When you cut fats too low, testosterone, estrogen, and cortisol balance can all be disrupted, which ends up actually hurting your recovery. It hurts your motivation and even mental clarity. So, we want to focus on unsaturated sources of fats like oils, such as olive oil, nuts, seeds, avocados, and fatty fish, just to name a few. We want to limit trans fats and heavy processed oils when it comes to fats. So, how do we put this all together? Carbs fuel the effort. Fat supports hormone regulation and long-term health. Protein rebuilds the damage. And if you're missing any part of this system, the whole system falls apart. Training without recovery nutrition is like revving an engine with no oil. And we know what's going to happen if we do that. It might run for a while, but eventually it's going to send a rod through that block and up straight into space. It's going to blow. So we need all of these macros. We need all these macros to be able to have a healthy functioning system. But that's not all. We also need a thing called micronutrients. And these are what you might call the hidden powerhouses. Now let's talk about them. They're small, but they're important, mighty players that make all of these systems work. And honestly, without them, enzymes can't function, hormones can't activate, and energy production grinds to a halt. So, what are some macros? Vitamins. B vitamins especially. B1 through B12. These act as cofactors in carbohydrate metabolism. They convert glucose into ATP. B6 and B12 support red blood cell formation and neurotransmitter function, key for focus and endurance. Vitamin C. It supports collagen formation for things such as tendons and ligaments. And it also aids in immune function and acts like an antioxidant to control training-induced inflammation. Vitamin D. It regulates calcium and phosphorus absorption. It also plays a massive role in testosterone production and immune health. Low levels of vitamin D are linked to fatigue, weak recovery, and even depression. And last but not least, in the vitamin category, you have vitamin E and K. They protect cell membranes from oxidative stress and assist in blood clotting, especially important for injury recovery. But that's not all of the micronutrients. You next have minerals. Minerals such as iron, which is central to hemoglobin, the molecule that carries oxygen in your blood. Low iron equals low oxygen equals early fatigue. This is especially true in women and endurance athletes. Next, we have magnesium, involved in over 300 enzyme reactions in your body, including ATP synthesis and muscle relaxation. Deficiency in magnesium usually equals in cramps, insomnia, and poor performance. Zinc is another mineral. It supports protein synthesis, wound healing, and immune function. It's also vital for testosterone production and insulin regulation. Calcium and phosphorus, they work together for bone strength and muscle contraction. Without enough, nerve signaling and contraction efficiency drop. And then the final of the minerals, or the micros, you have sodium, potassium, and chloride. The three key electrolytes that your body needs to regulate fluid balance, nerve transmission, and muscle contractions. If you lose too much through sweat, you'll cramp, you'll feel sluggish, or even dizzy. Now, you don't need 50 supplements. You just need consistency in food choices to get your micronutrient optimization. And here's how that works. Eat color. Different pigments equal different antioxidants and vitamins. Add variety. Rotate protein and carb sources weekly. Stay hydrated. Water carries every nutrient to where it needs to go. You have to have water. And supplement smart. Vitamin D3, say if you're indoors a lot. Magnesium, glycinate at night for recovery. And a balanced electrolyte mix if you're in an intense, heavy training session and you're sweating. So, again, like I said, we're going to talk about all this stuff. But fueling like a warrior isn't about restriction, it's about precision. Every macro and micro plays a role. Without them, the engine is dead. You don't have to be perfect. Just be consistent. Feed your body what it needs, and it will perform beyond what you thought was possible. So next time someone says just eat less and move more, remember this. Your body isn't a calculator. It's a chemistry lab. And throughout the day, it is doing amazing things. But it can't do those amazing things without the proper fuel. If you like this video, I want to go ahead and tell you that I will be putting out in the future some video podcasts, as well as I'm going to be starting a new series where basically I will take and basically cook healthy meals that you can use to meal prep or that you can use to just eat in general, to kind of take some of the guesswork out of what is good and what is healthy. And I'll be doing those episodes every so often, cooking a recipe for one episode of, like I said, some healthy, smart meals. And I'll show you how to cook down to the measurements and everything. That being said, like, comment, subscribe. If you have a question, don't hesitate to, throw a comment down, and I will try to answer you. And if I can't answer you, or I don't have an answer for you, I will try my best to get that answer for you. So, that being said, train smart, fuel smart, and take care of the details that separate the average from the exceptional. I'm Anthony Smith. This has been Warrior Mindset Podcast. And if this episode helped you to understand the science behind your fuel, share it with someone who's still guessing. Train smart, build strength, live resilient, and we'll see you next time.